Welcome to a typical installation guide of the Litecast GT floor system, an innovation in thermally insulated structural ground floors. The flooring system will be delivered complete with a copy of the design drawing, a delivery note, and a copy of the installation guidelines. The GT system comprises our 150mm deep floor beams, polystyrene infill panels, and white load-bearing rails in varying depths to suit the required U-value of the floor. To begin the installation, a DPC must be laid onto the bearing walls. Polystyrene edge clips can then be laid onto the bearing walls to support the starter and end panels. These will later be bedded into the inner skin of the property. To start the installation, measure the distance from the inside of the inner skin to the edge of the shoulder of the beam. This will form the distance required for your starter panel. This detail will typically be displayed on the Litecast drawing as AS or CS. The starter panel will be cut to suit from a full panel using a handsaw. Place the starter panel in position, retaining the offcut, which will later be used to form the end panel at the end of the bay. Following the Litecast drawing, measure the center of the beams and place into position. The grey panels are then installed between the beams. These will either be full or half panels depending on the centers of the beams. At the end of the row, a panel will need to be cut to suit. Measure the distance between the last panel and the inner face of the blockwork. Then, using a handsaw, cut through the width of a panel. Fill the end of the row and use the offcut in the next row, minimizing waste. Ensure that offcuts of 300mm or less are installed at the end of the row. Following the installation of the grey panels, the white load-bearing rails are then installed above the top of the beams, allowing identification of the beams following the installation. Much like the panels, the rail at the end of the row will be cut to suit. Install the rail overhanging the row and using a saw, create a cut. Proceed to lift the rail and finalize the cut. To avoid waste, offcuts of both rails are then to be used on the next row. Please be advised that rails cannot be less than 300mm long. In some instances, a cut row may be required, shown as JX on the Litecast design. To do this, measure and cut the panel to suit. This panel will always sit on the shoulder of the beam to avoid any further cutting. For the next row, saw off one side of a rail and install next to the cut panel. This will ensure no voids are formed in the floor. In some instances, multiple beams may be required within the floor. Our unique multi-rail has made grouting beams together a thing of the past. Simply install the multi-rail to fill the gap between the beams with polystyrene. To accommodate any service pipes, measure the location of the pipe and mark the polystyrene panels in the correct location. Then, using a core drill or handsaw, cut an area out of the panel with an adequate area to house the pipe. Install the panel in the normal method, ensuring that the pipe is housed within the hole. Any remaining void can then be infilled with expanding foam. The GT system offers a quick and easy installation that requires no additional insulation once installed. Sleeper strips can be installed above the beam ends on supporting walls. Full or half closure blocks are supplied to suit the spacing of the beams. Closures are bedded into the inner skin of cavity walls between the beams, allowing the continuation of the inner skin build. To finalize the floor, side strips are installed against the screed rails, eliminating cold bridging between the wall and floor junction. Once installed, the floor can be used as a walking platform. Please ensure that heavy materials are not stacked on the polystyrene during the remainder of the build. Enquire today to receive your free design and no obligation quotation.